Okay, Rick, great to have you back here on Mea Culpa. So thankful.
Thanks,
so much to talk about. Going to jump
Absolutely.
right into it. Let's start with the obvious, the so-called deal to end the shutdown. You see, as far as I'm concerned, Democrats caved. Period. End of story.
Yep.
But do me a favor. Tell me, who actually won here? And more importantly, who really lost? Because to the average American, this wasn't some beltway chess match. It was their paychecks, their rent, their groceries, all on the line. And yet, politicians on both sides of the aisle, they walked away literally patting themselves on the back.
I got to tell you, Michael, I think this was a big mistake on the part of not only these 8 Democrats, but on Chuck Schumer, who empowered these 8 Democrats to do this. If he knew about it, he should have done something to stop it. If he didn't know about it, that's a very bad signal about his control over his caucus and his leadership of his caucus. I think what happened here, I don't think there are any winners in this. The shutdown has hurt Republicans and Trump very badly. Of the 21 surveys that have been done by reputable polling firms since the shutdown started, people blame Trump over and over again. They blame Trump and they blame the Republicans in Congress for this shutdown. I think, unfortunately, the Democrats now sort of got themselves wrapped up in some of the stickiness of this and the tar of this. And it's a bad look that they're now part of sort of like, oh, we're enablers of this, because what's going to come out of this is insurance prices are going to go up for millions and millions of Americans. I don't think Trump, and I'd love to hear what you think about this. I don't think Trump is going to stop screwing around with poor people. He's going to still continue to fuck with SNAP for lower income Americans. He's going to continue to have all the damage that the tariffs are doing, all the damage that the firings that the government have been doing. I just think this whole thing adds up to a very bad look. It made a lot of these Democrats look like they're just the same inside folks in D.C. that people on both sides of the aisle can't stand.
Yeah, it's funny because I saw the same polls that you're referring to. Basically, more than 70% of America held Republicans accountable.
Yes.
7% held Democrats 100% accountable for this government shutdown. By the way, you know what else is 7% of Americans believe? That Elvis Presley is still alive.
Right, Bigfoot.
Right. The Loch Ness Monster. Tree Fitty. Where's my Tree Fitty? I don't know if you ever saw that on.
I got Tree Fitty. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So look, because literally, Rick, where I sit, it looks like Republicans held the country hostage again.
They did.
And Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. I don't separate the two, even though it was the Senate. Hakeem Jeffries too. They literally handed over the ransom.
These guys.
Is that a fair read?
Yeah, no, they gave up. They could have had a morally consistent stance. They gave up, and they gave up in the middle of this thing and walked away from it. It was a really unfortunate and incompetent political move on their part. And in this world where the Democrats had a phenomenal week last week, where they got a phenomenal electoral boost last week, what are we seeing? We're seeing them give up a key aspect of that victory. They had the affordability message. Sorry, guys. Housekeeper day. They had an affordability message, and they had a message of economic issues, and they just walked away from it. It's like, yeah, it wasn't so bad. We decided we'd still fuck people on their health insurance. We decided that it's okay if people are left hungry. What Trump did wasn't so bad.
Right. So look, Rick, if there's anybody who's a fighter, it's you and Lincoln Project and your team. But you and I both know how Washington games are played.
Oh, yes.
But what the hell is the Democratic Party strategy anymore? I can't figure it out with this guy, Ken Martin. And so I just can't. Is their strategy to survive, or is it to actually lead? Because there is a big difference between playing defense and actually fighting for the soul of democracy. And right now, it feels to me like the Democrats are somewhat stuck in neutral.
I think that's putting it kind of charitably right now. I think that what Republicans learned is that they can play at least 8 of these Democrats in the Senate, and that they can trick them into something that is quite obviously harmful to the party and to the energy and intensity that the base really, really needs in 2026. And if you trick somebody once, you're going to try to trick them again and again and again. It's like Donald Trump. I sometimes wonder, Michael, if he wakes up and goes, how am I getting away with this shit every single fucking day? How do I get away with fooling these people every single time? And yet he, the John Thune and the Republicans tricked these 8 Democrats into this. And they said, oh, well, you'll get great headlines out of the New York Times will say nice things about you, and the Washington Post will say nice things about you. And they tricked them. These people do not deserve to be in the Senate if they're easily fooled by people who are the equivalent of 3-card Monte dealers in New York, in Times Square back in the 80s.
Yeah. So look, Chuck Schumer, and you and I feel the same about him. I wish he would have left office a decade ago. Yeah. Chuck Schumer called this bullshit pragmatism. I called it in my Substack cowardice.
Yep.
When do you think that the base finally wakes up and says, what?
I think this week is a week where Chuck Schumer should not attend any grassroots Democratic Party events.
Right. Because I'm wondering when they're going to wake up and just say enough with this appeasement bullshit. Because honestly, Rick, here's my question to you. Let's be honest about something. Voters, we didn't send Democrats to Washington to manage Trumpism. We sent them there to end it.
Correct. And if you don't want to go to DC right now as a Democrat to fight against the outrages every day, if you're not in DC as a Democrat, you don't wake up every morning and say, how am I going to stop this onslaught of tyranny, this onslaught of corruption, this onslaught of destruction to the economy and to the American people? If you're not saying that to yourself every day, you are doing your job wrong. You ought to be there every day like, what can I do to put sand in the gears of evil? What can I do to stop this abuse of power? What can I do to stop this economic train wreck that's being caused every day by Donald Trump and by his minions? And the fact that they don't do that, Michael, to this minute, just like it utterly baffles me, because there is a simple solution to all this. You put the brakes on it. You get a majority and it has to put the brakes on it. I don't want to hear Hakeem Jeffries say, oh, give us a majority so we can pass a climate change plan. That's all fine and good. I want to hear Hakeem Jeffries say, give us a majority so we can kick the shit out of these guys and stop this nightmare. That's where I think there's a disconnect between the Democratic Party, not only at the base, not only the activist base, but the overall Democratic Party. I think there's a disconnect between the Washington Democratic Party and the folks out there that are on the streets for no kings, the folks out there that are marching and donating and phone calling and text banking and doing all the stuff to win that majority we need to end Trumpism. Unless we have that majority next year, if they squander it, I will never forgive them.
Yeah, the funny thing, I'm with you 1,000% on this one. Literally, I'm saying to myself, the DNC, Ken Martin, I saw this idiot on television running around, patting himself on the back after the No Kings, after the blue tidal wave, the tsunami that we just had in the elections, basically taking the credit for it. They don't get to take the credit for it. We take the credit for it. Lincoln Project, Mea Culpa, Political Beatdown, Midas Touch Network. We take the credit. We're the ones that are out there building up the community. All of a sudden, this guy shows up one day because he has a platform to go on television, and he's taking credit thanks to the hard work of the DNC that we were successful in annihilating Republicans in not just New York, New Jersey, California, and in DC or Virginia, but also Georgia, Mississippi, and elsewhere. No, it's not him. It's us.
Michael, I think this is one of those real points that is, I think you made a super important point. There's a part of the old guard in the Democratic Party that really believes that these guys in DC who do 1,000 focus groups to decide what they believe and who spend their days writing PowerPoint slide decks and who spend so much of their time focused on things that don't matter to folks out in the country. And look, folks, the Democrats won this time for two big reasons. They won because Donald Trump has been a spectacular economic failure and a disaster for the economy. Everybody knows it except Trump, and he might even know it and not want to say it, but everybody knows it except Trump. They voted for these Democrats because they ran on affordability. They ran on affordability and not on anything else. They didn't run on any of this culture war garbage that Republicans are so good at twisting. They didn't run on any of the sort of what I call like luxury items on the Democratic political policy palette. They talked to people where they were, and people are hurting, Michael. You know this, and I know this.
Oh, yeah.
And I sometimes wonder if the consulting class in the Democratic Party in D.C. knows this. People are hurting. Their lives are miserable. People are struggling in this country. And Spanberger and Sherrill and Mamdani and the races in Georgia, even local races down here in Florida, Michael, which is crazy, right? We had a couple of blue pickups in local races in red areas, which if you told me that was going to happen, I would have said, yeah, fine, no way, not even now. But it did because everybody talked about affordability and the pain that these 8 assholes in the Senate have caused to the people who busted their ass to win all these races. Yeah, it's unconscionable.
It's a slap to the face. But you brought up Hakeem Jeffries, and I'm glad you did, because I've always said that early on, I thought Hakeem Jeffries has a potential to be a generational leader, right? He's sharp. He's
smart
strategic.
Yep.
He's incredibly articulate. But here's the problem. And here's the question I really want to ask you. You think he's already being dragged into the swamp of go along to get along, right? It's sort of the curse of leadership in this era. You either fight the system or you get absorbed by it. Which direction you see him going?
Look, I the jury's still out for me. I think so. I hear some things out of the guy that absolutely I go, okay, he gets it. And I hear other things out of the guy. I'm like, does he get it? And so, I want him to get it. I want him to do well. I want a majority. And we want a majority, folks, not just for so we can pass, the Toilet Seat Standards Act or some bullshit. We want a majority because if we have a majority in the House next year, we can stop Trump. We can stop the bullshit. We can slam the brakes on all this abuse and all this garbage. And it's going to take a very bold House leader to do this. We do not have a bold Senate leader, even if we end up somehow winning the Senate, which is still a long shot. I don't believe that Chuck Schumer is the man for that job to face up against Trump. He's too procedural. He's too old school. He's too go along to get along. And I just, look, go have an honorable retirement. Go form the Chuck Schumer School of Leadership at NYU, whatever you're going to do. But the things you've been doing, not for Democrats, but to them, by being too cautious and too small-minded about what you should try to accomplish, it's time for a change.
Yeah, he's too polite. Now, Rick, let me say this. You've been in those back rooms. You really understand.
I lived in those for a long time.
Yes, you sure have, right? You've seen the cynical calculus firsthand. You know those weeks where you feel like you've been running nonstop and your body's just, done? Well, that was me last month. Late nights, early mornings, takeout dinners, skipping workouts. I needed a reset. And that's when I tried Prolon. Honestly, it's the only nutrition program that actually works for me. Science-backed, convenient, and real results. Prolon's 5-day fasting mimicking diet, it gives you a structured plan to lose weight, to burn fat, and to protect lean muscle, all without injections. You actually eat real food while activating your fasting pathways to support metabolic health and rejuvenate your cells. And now, with the next gen 5-day program, you've made it cleaner, more convenient, and even more flavorful. It's plant-based with soups, snacks, and beverages designed to nourish your body while keeping it in fasting state. Developed over decades at USC's Longevity Institute and backed by top medical centers, Prolon has been shown to support biological age reduction, fat loss, metabolic health, skin appearance, and energy. And the next gen program, everything's pre-packed and ready to go. Five boxes labeled by day with 100% organic soups and teas. They've kept all the science-backed benefits of the original Prolon, now with richer taste and easier use. Fasting has never been this manageable. So no matter the season, when I want a real reset, Prolon is the only program I trust. It's convenient, it works, and it's backed by Nobel-winning science. So here's the deal. For a limited time, Prolon is offering listeners 15% off site-wide plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe to the 5-day program. So go right now to prolonlife.com/mea culpa. That's PROLONLIFE.com/mea culpa to claim your discount and your bonus gift. So go right now to prolonlife.com/mea culpa. Take 5 days to reset your body, recharge your energy, and actually feel like yourself again. Seriously, it works. The question I really want to ask is, why are Republicans still so obsessed with things like cutting SNAP? The one program that literally keeps millions of people from starving, their own
It literally fed
constituents.
J.D. Vance when he was a kid.
Yes, and how do they sell it to voters with a straight face? Because these are not abstract numbers on a spreadsheet. These are children, 17 million children who will be forced to skip meals so that hedge fund donors can get another tax break.
Michael, there's a simple answer to it. And it is because although most people on SNAP are in red states, in red districts, MAGAs all think the only people on SNAP are black people.
Right.
They think it's black people. And you see it out there. They're on these social media sites saying, oh, well, they're using their SNAP to buy lottery tickets and malt liquor. Oh, yeah. Thanks for the fucking code word dog siren there, guys. But they believe that this is a program that benefits African Americans primarily. And therefore, they want to. There's a Fox guy, a guy on Fox today, I guess on Fox, Michael, and it just offended the shit out of me because he said, well, a hungry dog is an obedient dog. And maybe if we take away these food stamps from these people, they'll be more likely to go out and work. And all I could think of was, this is a guy who someday deserves somebody to put him in a position where he has to suffer. Like a lot of people whose kids are hungry in front of them are suffering right now. And the degree to which these people, there's a racial code inside of their hatred for SNAP, that Venn diagram is like 100% overlap.
Yeah. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that movie Wall Street, right? With Michael Douglas when he plays Gordon Gekko. Yep. Greed is right.
Greed is good.
Works. Greed clarifies, cuts through and captures the essence of the evolutionary spirit. Greed in all of its forms. That's what we're living through here. They all think that they are Gordon Gekko. Remember,
and look,
by the way, the age group of all of these folks that are there in the administration, we all grew up with Gordon Gekko.
Yeah,
we all strive to be that guy.
Yeah, these people who, like the cosplay version of the Wall Street thing. Gordon Gekko now looks like Mother Teresa compared to, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and all these other people that are now very much like up Trump's ass. And they all get it that the deck is stacked in their favor. And so, people ask me all the time, like, why do these Silicon Valley guys, they're really smart. Why would they back Trump? I'm like, they back Trump because they don't want to pay taxes. That's just bottom line right there. They don't want to pay taxes, and they don't have to back Trump like this, but they're okay with it. They're like, well, you know what? I guess we are where we are, and if I can keep my marginal tax rate low and keep capital gains rates low and keep the carried interest deduction, I'm okay. They don't care that the rest of America is burning to the ground right now, Michael, because they just don't. They are emotionally unable to do so.
Yeah. I mean, they literally can spend $1 million a day for the rest of their life.
Yep.
And still have more than enough money left over for their kids and grandkids to do the exact same thing.
I mean, Elon Musk is now on track to be the first trillionaire in America.
Yeah, I'm not 100% so sure that's legit and true. He has to meet thresholds.
Yeah, right.
He needs to sell 24.7 million Teslas. Let me be clear. That Cybertruck.
It's a lot of cars, people.
You think that Cybertruck, that piece of shit, right? I mean, that's falling apart all over the place, that they may end up taking off. That's going to be a couple of $100 billion that's lost in terms of, that's just, look, he's got a hell of a, but the fact that he's worth $400 billion,
right?
That's a lot of billions.
Yeah.
No, it's
and
not
that you
just
and I pay a higher marginal tax rate than Elon Musk.
I sure do. Meanwhile, it's not just Snap that they're oblivious to. It's also healthcare. You see, every time the conversation turns to ensuring basic human needs, the right, they scream socialism.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, why do Democrats still fear that word more than Republicans fear fascism?
You know, I've argued for a long time now, Democrats should invert this. They should call Donald Trump a communist. They should call him a socialist. He's taking over companies and controlling them by having the government control them. He is getting a cut of corporate profits. He's getting he and his friends are getting brought into deals and companies all over the place, and all of it is as socialist as you could imagine. I think Democrats ought to invert this, become the party that is the pro small business party, unlike Trump, who is now increasingly an outright up and down socialist. And you know, we socialize the risk that billion-dollar companies take, and we capitalize the risk that everybody else takes. You know, if JP Morgan gets in trouble tomorrow, we will bail them out. The taxpayers will bail them out. We did this.
We did it before.
2008. We did it in the 80s. We did it in the 90s. We've done this a lot for both parties. I'm going to be honest. But if my next door neighbor can't pay his rent or can't pay his mortgage or can't pay his car note, he's fucked. And so the scale of socialism in this country is enormous, but it is enormous in the private equity world and the Wall Street world. And I say that as a guy who's a free market conservative. We don't have a free market. We have a bunch of protected classes of companies, and private equity and big banks and Silicon Valley are now protected classes of companies.
Yeah,
where they don't have to worry about a damn thing. They could fuck it all up. You got Sam Altman at OpenAI right now asking the government to write him a $5 trillion loan guarantee so he can build his AI company. Call me crazy, but if we got $5 trillion to spare on a loan guarantee, I'd rather guarantee $5 trillion of loans to farmers and small businessmen.
Yeah, you and me both. It almost reminds me of the old days of the robber barons, right? When they guaranteed for the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, the Phipps, the Mellons in order to build the railroads. Meanwhile, let me ask you this then, because Adelita Grijalva, the congresswoman from Arizona, will be sworn in, then represent the 218th vote that is needed in order to ensure that the Epstein files are ultimately released,
right?
Unredacted, except for maybe the names of the victims, which I believe that they should.
Yeah, I think everybody agrees that if it's an underage victim, or if it's or if it's a video or photograph that portrays child sexual abuse, no, those can be redacted. But look, I think the problem here is that's going to go to Pam Bondi. And Pam Bondi is going to look at it and say, okay, well, Congress says to do this, fuck you. And then the question is, what happens? I don't know that Mike Johnson would ever cross Donald Trump in that regard.
I don't think he would I don't think he has a choice here, right? Because what they're doing is they're putting it, he has already made it clear that he will not vote.
I'm saying if Bondi says, fuck you, no, I'm not going to do it, then the House has to take steps against Bondi, and Johnson will not do that, in my view.
Then they'll have to do the same thing again. They will put it onto the floor in the same manner that they're doing this with the Epstein file. They're going to have to release it. Otherwise, you no longer have your tripartite system of government.
Correct.
You are then having the executive branch, which, of course, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, is a part of, in conflict with the legislative branch. And then what are you going to do? Now bring it to the judiciary and to the Supreme Court? The whole thing is a gigantic clusterfuck. And I'll tell you something too. There's a lot of speculation right now that's running through the internet ecosphere that both parties have something to lose if those files come out in full.
And I in my view of it, I don't care who loses.
Me neither.
If you're a Democrat in those files, fuck you. If you're a Republican in those files, fuck you. If you're a big business guy on Wall Street and you're in those files, fuck you. All of it is going to come down, I think, to a moment where when those things start to come out, I think people will be shocked, not only by Donald Trump's elements in this thing, but by how much these corporate powerhouse interests and political powerhouse interests are protected by a system that supposedly should protect the people who are the victims of these crimes.
Especially children.
Yeah.
Especially children. I mean, because the kind of quiet that we're hearing, even from, again, on both sides of the aisle, to me, speaks volumes. But Rick, you've called the GOP, these are your words, not mine, a party of moral rot.
Yes.
Do you think the Epstein story is the final proof that rot exists, or you think it's just another ugly symptom? Because if this doesn't wake people up to the sickness that's inside of our institutions on both sides of the aisle, what will?
I mean, I've interviewed Virginia Giuffre's family and Amy Waller, the author of the new book, Nobody's Girl, about Virginia Giuffre. And I've done a lot of reading and research about Epstein. And Michael, I'm 62 years old, and I have been through a lot of terrible shit in my career, in my life. I know bad people and bad things exist in the world. And even I was reading that, and I'm fucking horrified. And I'm like fucking appalled by how nothing could be done seemingly about these people. Something has to be done about these people. And we've got to, as a country, decide we're not going to tolerate it anymore. As a country, we have to decide we're not going to enable it or empower it or ignore it anymore. And right now, Republican base voters out there in the country, they want the Epstein files released.
Yeah.
Regular Republicans want the Epstein files released. And you know what? As much as they thought, oh, it's going to be Bill Clinton on every page, a lot of them are like, well, whoever it is. Good or bad. Yeah. The only people that don't want the Epstein files released are Donald Trump, who is going
I'm not so sure that it's only Donald Trump. There's a lot of people.
Yeah, there are some folks on Wall Street that don't want it out. There are some folks in powerful jobs that don't want it out. But I also want to say Donald Trump promised his base for 10 years those things were coming out.
Yeah.
He told them from back in 2016, it should all come out. Everything should come out.
You ever tried launching a podcast with zero experience? Well, let me tell you, it's like being tossed into a cage match with a grizzly bear, blindfolded, wearing clown shoes. I mean, when I started Mea Culpa, I thought to myself, come on, How hard can this be? Well, script writing, logos, production schedules, ad deals, and don't even get me started on the tech setup. I mean, I felt like I was decoding the damn Matrix. If only I had Shopify when I launched this beast. Shopify is the platform behind millions of businesses across the globe, responsible for a whopping 10%, you hear me? 10% of all e-commerce in the United States. And my friends, that's not hype. That's a fact. From big names like Mattel and Gymshark to folks just getting their hustle off the ground, Shopify's got their back. I mean, you want a gorgeous online store? Shopify's got hundreds of sleek, ready-to-go templates that make you look like a design god. And AI tools? Yeah, they've got those too. Writing your product descriptions, jazzing up your images, maybe even making you sound smarter than you actually are. I mean, not naming names or anything, right? I mean, need a marketing squad? Shopify's built-in tools let you hit email, Instagram, TikTok, wherever your customers are scrolling or doom scrolling. And listen, Shopify handles it all. Inventory, returns, international shipping. I mean, they are the ride or die business partner that you never knew that you needed. So if you got a big idea or even a little one and you're ready to turn that dream into a reality, head over to shopify.com/Cohen. So if you want to see less carts being abandoned, it's time for you to head over to Shopify and sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/Cohen. That's Shopify, SHOPIFY.com/Cohen. One more time, that's shopify.com/Cohen. When the holiday season rolls around, it feels like there's a party every single weekend. And all the sugary drinks, you know what? They add up. Well, this season, I'm going to reach for Soul's out-of-office gummies instead. Same fun, same vibe, low in calories, and zero hangover. Look, I've been taking the out-of-office gummies for a few weeks now, and let me tell you, they actually work. After a long day of deadlines and meetings, I pop one, and suddenly I feel relaxed, calm, creative, without the groggy, why did I drink so much feeling? Well, honestly, it's the perfect replacement for those nights when a cocktail would leave me regretting my choices the next morning. Soul isn't just about feeling good. It's about feeling good the smart way. Their products are made from USA-grown hemp, vegan, gluten-free, low in sugar, and federally legal. It's wellness without compromise, which is something I really connect with. And their new out-of-office beverage, that's my go-to when I want a social vibe without the hangover risk. So take advantage of Soul's Black Friday, Cyber Monday deal now. And for a limited time, get 40% off your entire order. So go to getsoul.com. That's GETSOUL.com and use the code Cohen. That's getsoul.com, promo code Cohen for 40% off. Don't miss their best deal of the year. Go now. So, Rick, let's say that the files are released, unredacted,
Right.
as they should be.
Right.
How seismic you think that could be? Could it shake Washington the way the Pentagon Papers or Watergate once did? Or do you think that the corruption's become so normalized, we become so numb to it, that even the most damning evidence barely dents the armor?
I think, unfortunately, Michael, we live in a fallen time. We live in a time where people have stopped feeling a sense of outrage at the outrageous. It's not just Donald Trump's fault. This is a lot of things in our society and our culture. And I think one thing about these files that is a relevant point, Epstein's been dead now for 5 years, I guess, 4 years, something like that. And a lot of the activities from these files are now 20 plus years old.
Yeah.
There are fewer of those people that are in these files that are still in power, I think. So I think that may make the story less immediate in people's minds. You have people we have heard that are in these files, like Bill Richards, and he's dead. Alan Dershowitz is 1 million years old. All these things, none of this stuff is as present as, it's not going to be Stephen Miller in the files.
Right.
And so I think it will have less of of a political shock and awe effect, but I think it could have a moral shock and awe effect in the country where, if we're going to talk about protecting victims of child sexual assault, and you protect them from the scumbag teacher in a classroom, you better protect them from the Wall Street banker in a boardroom.
Yeah, or the member of Congress. So
sure.
Last question for you.
Yeah.
For all the chaos, all the corruption, all the cowardice that we're watching unfold every fucking day, every day, what's the one thing that still gives you hope that this democracy isn't beyond repair? Because if we do not find a reason to believe that there's still something worth saving, then what the fuck are we even fighting for?
Michael, you know what? America, for all of our flaws and all of our stupidities and all of our mistakes that we make, this is a stubbornly resilient country. This is still a country that is providential in a lot of ways, where we stumble and we get down on the ground and we think we can't get back up, and we get back up. And it's happened over and over again in our history, and we make mistakes and we fix them, and it never happens as fast as we want, and the repair's never as pretty as it should be. But this is a country that is stubbornly determined to survive. And no matter what the decay around us has been in the last 10 years, people keep getting back up. They keep punching away. They keep fighting. And this whole thing has I think there's a pathway forward in this country where we have to have some hard conversations and some hard decisions and some hard reformations. But I think those are things that people are going to want to do, because the alternative to this country is not Britain or Germany or whatever. Right. The alternative to this country is the darkness and the chaos. And we got to fix it.
Well, that's why, Rick, I thank you for joining me, for giving my listeners the insight. I thank you for Lincoln Project and the incredible ads and work that you're doing to try to bring back the normalcy to our country. You are part of the reason why that blue tsunami took place. All right.
Thank you, Michael.
And so for all of my listeners, please, the Lincoln Project. Please make sure you follow Rick Wilson and the Lincoln Project.
Thank you, Michael. We'll see you again soon.
I hope so.